All right, guys, let's learn how to make our final 3D paper spiral sculpture. All right, so if you're doing this from home and you don't have painted paper or you don't have paint to paint on paper, you can of course use colored construction paper, but today I'm going to be using painted paper. All right, so here is some inspiration. This is my example for our sculpture. So not only are you going to just make one spiral, you're going to make at least 5 to put on a black background. All right, so what you need is your painted paper or construction paper, scissors, marker or pencil, and glue. I'm going to be using glue cup. At home, you could use glue, a glue stick. All right. So what we want to first do is just make our strips. Now this is kind of long paper, but that's good because I might want some of my spirals to be larger. So I'm going to just take my scissors and I could fold it at a certain width if I wanted to. So I might just go ahead and do that. Maybe about 3 inches. I'm going to fold it, making sure that it's nice and even on the end. And I'm going to take my scissors and just cut right along that folded line. All right, so I have a nice thick one. On this next one, I want it to be a little bit more narrow, so I'm going to fold it not as wide, but a little bit more narrow. So maybe about 2 inches instead of 3 inches. Crease it nice and good. If you have thick paper, you just have to put a little more pressure when you crease. Cut that. All right, on this next one, I also want to cut it or fold it into a narrower strip. So I've made about 4 different strips using my painted paper. And I want some spirals to not be as long. So what I'm going to do is just cut this paper, this strip, in half. If you want to make sure you're really cutting it in half, take both ends and meet them together. Not like this, not like this. Match both ends. You're just folding that strip right in half, just like that. And now I can crease or cut right there. So I'll have a shorter spiral. I have a nice long spiral, thick spiral, and short ones. So I have different sized options of strips for my spirals. All right, just like in our practice, we start by, to make it into 3D, we start with a little tab at the bottom. Remember, that tab is not folding it halfway. The tab is just like an inch up from the bottom edge. So I'm just going to kind of carefully train my paper into a nice little fold. If you are using construction paper, it folds a little bit easy. I'm kind of using some thicker painted paper, so just have to crease it a little bit more. All right, I'm going to fold it out. Another thing I wanted to say, if you're using construction paper at home, you won't get strips that are as long, but that's still okay. So I had big paper. If you have shorter paper like that, that's quite all right. All right, now it's time to cut our little strips. Remember, we don't want to make them too narrow, not too narrow, not too wide. Nice and even about the width of your thumb. Okay, cut those little strips, not all the way up. We're not cutting French fries, cutting strips like this. Don't do this. We don't want that. All right, that's just to show you. We want little tiny tabs, and those tabs should stop right wherever it folds, right? Kind of see where it folds. That's where my tabs stop. And I'm going to cut little 1/2 inch tabs all the way down. Carefully taking my time. All right, now this is ready to be kind of rolled into a spiral. Again, it's got its tabs, it's got its fold, but it's still flat. So this is thick paper, so I'm going to use a marker. If you're using construction paper, sometimes a pencil works better to roll around. This marker works better for this. All right, place the marker at the end of your paper and just kind of lift that paper up. You're going to see the back side. You want to kind of tuck and roll it around the marker. Again, put the marker at the end, fold that paper up and kind of wrap it around that marker. You want to tuck it in so it's not just all big at the beginning. You don't want it nice, you don't want it like really big at the beginning. You want it tight around the marker like that instead of like this. You see the difference? That's too big of a roll. It's not going to give you a good roll. You want it nice and tight. So that takes some practice sometimes. That's why we practiced. Now that it's tucked, I'm just going to flatten out those little tabs and just roll, roll, roll. If it wants to kind of go left, just kind of guide it back. Guiding it back. Rolling until I have no more paper left. Tuck, tuck, tuck. All right, my marker's inside. Let's take it out. And now I have this beautiful spiral. All right, so now I have my spiral. For my friends who are doing this here at school, you have color on both sides. So yours will be much prettier than this little plain white. If you're at home and you're using construction paper, it's colored on both sides. Again, my friends at school will have paint on both the outside and the inside of their paper, so don't have to worry about that. All right, now this is where we want to start folding out those little flanges, little slits, just like we did in our practice. You want to be careful that you're not like tearing them off. You just want to kind of guide them up. Pretty much easily fold. Even the little center should have its little flare. Okay, it's looking like this. Now we want to decide where we want our spiral on our paper. So you'll use black paper for your background. That's like black construction paper. I'm using a square piece today. All right, I'm going to be using, excuse me, I'm going to be using glue in a glue cup. Remember Elmer's glue? I mix a little bit of water in there, not much, just to get it flowing, and I use a cheap brush. That's it. Get out my scrap paper. I want to put this spiral first in a corner, so I'm going to work on that. All right, and now I am going to just start applying the glue generously to the tabs. I don't want to glue on any of this flat part or the part without the tabs, only on the tabbed part. All right, now that there's glue all on, and I try to get that on quickly so that it doesn't dry, it's now time to arrange it on my black paper. All right, on my paper, I'm going to decide, okay, which side goes in? Does this side curl in or does this side curl in? This side's going to curl in. I'm going to kind of just flatten it down. And press down those first parts, the inside part of my spiral. then guide the paper around. I can make it kind of like a tight spiral like that, but I want mine to be kind of large, so I'm going to just flip those little tabs out and begin pressing. You can kind of see it from the side. It's going to look like a little cake. All right, or a little hat. Press, press, press. Making sure all the tabs are flipped out the same side. You don't want any tabs like flipping inside. They should all be on the outside. If there's any tabs that look like they're kind of like flipping up like that, doesn't have enough glue, so you just place a little bit of glue underneath, press it down for a few seconds, and you're good to go. Again, for this project, more glue really helps it to lay down flat. You're going to get a little bit of glue all around, but just try not to pour it. This little bit of glue is perfectly fine. You can kind of see it's shiny on my paper. Just try not to pour the glue out, but this is fine. All right, here's my first spiral. Now let's go ahead and make my next one. My next one, I'm going to use a little short piece, and I'm going to start with making the tab. Again, only about an inch up whenever you first make that tab. Oop, there's some thick paper. Whenever you first make the tab, just make it about an inch. Let's find my scissors. All right. Go ahead and cut those. Remember, this is way too wide. This is way too narrow, right? You can see that's too narrow. This is too wide. This is perfect. Width of your thumb. Let's go ahead and fix those. Cut it in half. All right, now I'm going to roll it with the white side on the inside so my color can be on the out. Take my marker, put it on the end, train that paper to wrap around your marker. The marker is not there for coloring, it's just there as a cylinder to train your paper to roll. All right, take the marker out, see how it looks. Looks good. Fold the tabs. Try not to tear them off. And now I have my next piece to glue down. Now that I kind of have a spiral, I can kind of choose where I want it. Do I want it up here? Do I want it right next to it? Everyone is going to be making at least 5 spirals. So I would suggest just kind of grouping them together and then just building off until you have all 5 on your paper. All right. Let's glue those tabs. You don't have to glue each individual tab. You can just slide or paint the glue right across all of them. Press it down so it stays nice and stable while you guide the other part. Trying to make a circle, not necessarily an oval. I want to make a circle, so I'm going to try to guide it into a circle. And now I just press. And there we go. I have my second spiral. All right, guys, so that's all you need to know for making the spirals for your final artwork. Remember, we have to cut those tabs instead of just rolling it into a cylinder because the very edge of the paper is not enough space to put glue. It's just going to fall off. So make sure you make those tabs about even width, and make sure you include maybe a big spiral, smaller spiral, a medium one. Remember, this is a narrower strip, but it's nice and long. This was a short one. This was a big, thick, and long spiral strip. All right, so after you finish your piece and it has all 5 spirals on it like this, make sure you write your name on the back and take a photo of it. And when you take a photo of it at home, make sure you get maybe a top view, so from above, and then from the side. So you can kind of see it so you can kind of see that it is 3D instead of 2D. So try to get a picture from above and then from the side and email those to me. All right, guys, if you have any questions or you need help with this project, just email me and I'll be happy to help. Good luck.